Hey everybody, the Bad Pennies are back. And
here we are, ready to talk about some more stuff that you didn't want to hear, but you know you need to.
Oh yeah. So, Alan, show, here we go.
Yeah, here we off and running to the races. And
Yeah.
so we left the last podcast off on men and bad behavior and acting before you think, and just gathering good information. But we're going to talk another aspect of masculine sort of behavior, which is that men are generally selfish as a rule, and as a general rule. And
you're gonna have to really convince me on that one, because I know a lot of selfless people.
Well, so do I, and but that isn't actually a natural state. So being selfish actually is a much more natural state. It doesn't mean it's okay. All right. So when we say stuff like this, it's not an opportunity to say, well, those guys on the podcast said it was good for men to be selfish, so there you go. All right. That's not what we're saying. So let's just get into the definition right now. So
Okay.
we're clear about what it means to be selfish, and how that's going to actually get us to where we want to go around this.
Okay.
So selfish is an adjective applied to someone or something, either a person, action, or a motive. Doing something in a selfish way, or an action, or being selfish as to why you did something, right? And it means lacking consideration for others, or concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. Now, and you got to go, well, what's wrong with being concerned with one's personal profit or pleasure? Well, to a certain degree, there isn't, right? And all human beings, to a certain degree, are selfish. Although you've probably met people who probably have no, who have become so selfless in their service to mankind that any bit of selfishness that may have existed at one time just has no place. It's just gone. It's just evaporated. But for all the rest of us mortals, okay, those may be just angels, right? I look at people who are that selfless as, being angels. I think we talked about this a little bit about, some nurses and people in childcare and mothers.
Yeah, we crossed that topic before.
Yeah, how incredible that is. But we're going to apply this to something else, which is about how we as men can do something good.
Do something good.
For mankind and others. And why. Okay.
So you talk about selfish so that we can talk about not being selfish.
Yes. So we started out with selfish because in all things here, we like to be on a solid foundation. We like to, set things up so that we're standing strong on a solid foundation,
right.
And understanding that it's a sort of kind of a natural place to go for us to be selfish. That it gives us the opportunity to actually become selfless.
Okay.
And there's many places in life where it is really necessary and required to be selfless. Okay, being a parent is an opportunity to. Really great parents are selfless. They're in service to their children. And so they're not concerned about, what does it say? One's own personal profit or pleasure. What about my needs? They're not worried about that. They're worried about, how can I best serve my children?
I'm thinking, I visualize, we're in 2024, and the way the political climate is in America right now seems like selfishness on both sides.
Yes. There's not even a side. It's selfish by everyone.
Yeah, it's just a lot of selfishness.
Yeah,
Everybody's thinking about me.
Yeah, America is a selfish country.
Okay. Nobody's thinking we.
No. We don't think about our environment. We don't think about how what we do is going to impact others or our future or our society. You know what they call us in Japan?
No.
The Japanese people, they call us the garbage people. Because when they come here and they see our country, yeah, it's just garbage everywhere, on the ground, everywhere you look, there's just garbage. People don't pick up after themselves. You know, you go into somebody's house and it's dirty and full of garbage. And, you know, it's and not all of you. I'm sure that some of you go, not my house. Okay, well that's good.
As a collective,
but as a society, we're pretty trashy.
Okay.
And that means that you know, once we're done with something, we don't care about what happens to it. Because again, as a selfish society, we're looking about serving our own opinions, our own needs, regardless of how that affects other people.
And then doing something good would in turn, like I think last week we talked about higher purpose.
Yes,
right?
We did.
So doing something good.
And what is that? What is doing something good?
I'm asking.
Well, that's a really good question. And why would you? I mean, because there's you can have a purpose that drives you to do something good, right?
We talked about purpose being outward.
Yes, something that's not about you.
Yeah.
Doing anything you do, especially, you know, higher purpose.
Yeah.
You know, as we raise our purpose up, that you're doing things that stop to be about you and be about being in service to others. Mm-hmm. Being in service moves away from being selfish.
Okay.
Moves away from ego. It moves away from ourselves and starts to be more about others, the world, the future, things like that. But let's talk about a real simple aspect of it, because that's really voluminous in its concept, right?
Voluminous.
Yeah, I know. Do we have to look that up?
No, we won't.
Really, really large, a big container, right?
I'll put the.
Yeah, you'll put a little thing at the bottom of the screen. Maybe we should have like a little, like this little ticker strips at the bottom of like news channels where they have little things running across the bottom. So, but let's take it simple as to doing something good just for its own sake. Why would you do that?
Because it's good.
Just to do it. Just to do it. How often do you do something good just because?
Me?
Yeah.
I do a lot of things that I think are good.
Okay.
For other people I don't know. Like I don't mind. Okay, here's an example. I did get out of my car to help a lady cross the street one time.
Oh. Okay. Once?
Well, recently.
Once in 50 years?
Recently, and I'm not 50 yet. But like you could tell that she was like trying to cross the street, but cars weren't stopping. So I actually, I saw her because I passed her. I got out of my car, walked back to the intersection, and then
good.
I made sure that I had my hand up so people could stop.
An act of kindness. Yeah. Okay, an act of kindness. So here's a way of practicing taking that whole, being of service and higher purpose and moving away from being selfish in a very simple, easy to bite off way of doing it. Okay? Just do something good.
Do something good.
Just do something good every day. Just say, you know what? I'm going to do something good every day. And what you'll find is that if you really surrender to that, doing that, right? That things will start presenting themselves for you. Like
doing something good
so
every
when
day
you're walking into your office and there's a piece of garbage on the ground, do you pick it up or do you step over it? Okay. How often have you stepped over garbage and junk and just thought to yourself it's someone else's problem?
Okay.
But you know that all of that ends up in the ocean.
If you live in California, yes.
Well, or a river or a stream.
We got
and that ends up in the ocean.
We got landlocked people.
Yeah, but I mean, you're probably not that far from a river or a stream or a creek or something.
Okay.
All of this stuff all ends up at some point, even if it takes years, will end up in the ocean.
Okay.
Or in drinking water or whatever. I mean, you know,
the Japanese people will see it and call us garbage.
You know, we had some painters out.
Painters.
Yes, painters, and
Okay.
they were having to paint something with an oil-based paint, and it's not so easy to. I mean, there are certain things that you can actually use an oil-based paint for, but in California, most oil-based paints have been restricted to a great degree because they're really so terrible for our environment, and they're also very hard to clean.
Okay.
They're hard to clean up, and what they did was they cleaned their brushes and stuff, and then they found some little corner of the yard, and they poured it into the ground. And we found it later. We didn't know that they did this, right? But they took all this, you know, like paint stuff. What we found is this whole painted area where they were, over the period of time that they were working, dumping it all into the ground. But when we dump stuff into the ground, it works its way down into the water that we drink, you know, the well water and our water table and our aquifers. And so eventually, and there are ways to legally and properly dispose of that stuff. They're just not easy. They're not convenient. Let's say not necessarily easy, but they're not convenient. Means you have to drive somewhere and bring that material so that it can be properly taken care of.
A legitimate paint company should have known to do that, and they should have done the right thing from the beginning anyway. So these guys were cutting corners, and they should probably get like a bad Yelp review or something.
Well, any company knows what the rules are and how to do things right. The question is, do you do it? Okay. That's a whole nother podcast, by the way. Right. So we'll get into that podcast later.
So doing good for the sake of doing
the sake of doing it right, you know, doing just for no other. You don't have to give yourself a reason to do good things in the world.
Okay.
All right. So you don't have to do it because we tell you to do it. We don't have to do it because your wife tells you to do it. You just do it because it's a good thing to do, and it's a great context to come from. It's a great place to come from in moving away from being selfish, right? Just doing good things because it's a good thing to do and for no other reason. And maybe, just maybe after, you know, some time doing something, one good thing every day, just, you know, one good thing.
Picking up trash counts as doing something good.
Hell yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Picking up somebody else's trash. I mean, picking up your own trash. I mean, we'll have to do a whole podcast on responsibility.
But, that's okay.
Okay, but
you're talking about just you see litter and you're walking by and you decide.
Yeah, and definitely. In fact, I'm going to make a note here. We're going to do a podcast on responsibility because I think don't you want one? Maybe that's the bad word. Maybe you don't want a podcast on responsibility. But I'm writing it down here.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, everybody, you're supposed to go out and do something good.
Go out and do something good, and just for that.
Selfless.
And don't look. And one little caveat here.
What?
That's another word in the dictionary, right?
Yeah.
One little caveat. Don't expect reward.
Oh yeah, when you're doing something outwardly, you're doing it for the sake of it being good.
And you know you did it. And that's the only human being on the planet that really needs to know that you did something good is you.
So doing something good every day, you're going to start to see your life.
I don't know, maybe
better.
Something will change. I know it has for me, but
energy and, you know, the stars start to align, you get blessings, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, we can't guarantee any of that though, because they'll be calling us up saying like nothing happened. And we're like, well, you know, but the odds are greater that
it'll make you feel good.
Yeah, it'll definitely do that.
Okay. If you're depressed about something, do something good for somebody else.
Yeah, and if you are depressed about something, maybe we'll talk about that too. Just look at all the blessings that you do have.
Yeah. Okay.
Even if they may not be as the list of blessings may not be as long as the other list. Which one do you want to dwell on?
Okay. Well,
with that,
there you go.
Actually, we'll put a thing on blessings too.
All right, there we go. So, the Bad Pennies will be back.
Thanks for watching.